Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that we're running out of time and we have a lot less time than we thought. And it's actually a major warning for the United States, all Americans, and it's not good news. Take a look at this. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the drop dead date for the country for the debt ceiling is now June 1st, less than a month away. Yikes. Yeah, you can see here the US could default by June 1st without a debt ceiling hike. And guess what? We're nowhere close to this happening. Republicans and Democrats are 100 million miles away from making a deal. And this is very bad. Yeah, you can see here the Treasury Department warned lawmakers yesterday that without congressional action to lift or suspend the debt limit, the country will be unable to pay its obligations as soon as June 1st, less than a month from now. In a letter to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen urged Congress to resolve the current brinkmanship over the federal borrowing limit, warning that waiting until the last minute could have adverse impacts on the economy and the nation's credit rating. Janet Yellen had previously warned Congress in January that the United States has already reached its $31.4 trillion limit. Think of that as their credit card limit, and that the Treasury Department would take, quote, extraordinary measures to buy time for Congress to act. This was back in January. So far since then, they have not come to an agreement, and it's now May. Yeah, they've done basically nothing. Well, the Republicans did pass a bill, and the Democrats, well, Biden hasn't even met with Kevin McCarthy since February. Since then, the agencies have collected the tax filings of millions of Americans, allowing the Treasury to better predict when it will be unable to pay its bills. Get this, quote, after reviewing recent federal tax receipts, our best estimate is that we will be unable to continue to satisfy all of the government's obligations by early June, and potentially as early as June 1st. If Congress does not raise or suspend the debt limit before that time, Janet Yellen says. While acknowledging that the date could be, quote, a number of weeks later than June 1st, the timeframe will put renewed pressure on Washington to come to an agreement over the debt ceiling. Financial analysts have previously predicted the so-called X date for lawmakers to lift borrowing could be as late as September. Well, that now is as early as June 1st. Yeah. So the pressure's on. Republicans have just passed this massive bill in the House of Representatives, which Democrats promptly said, yeah, right. We absolutely hate it. We hate everything about it. And, well, the Republicans are like, okay, let's negotiate. Democrats are like, yeah, we don't want to do that either. So Democrats are still kind of holding by the idea that they're not going to negotiate. They want to raise the debt limit with no negotiations. Republicans are like, we're not going to do that either. Kevin McCarthy has said multiple times it's basically like giving a teenager a credit card and they've hit their max limit over and over and over again. Would you continue to give that teenager money? I kind of agree with him on this point because if you're going with that analogy and the United States is spending out of control, which honestly, if you did a poll, if you asked millions of Americans, most of them would say the United States spending is out of control. I mean, we're over $31 trillion in debt. That means we've spent $31 trillion more than the United States has taken in revenue. That's a lot of money. I mean, there's 330 million plus people in the United States. A lot of them paying taxes, and yet we've spent $31 trillion more than what we take in taxes. Yeah, and a lot of people say, oh, taxes are so high, this, that, and the other thing. Well, we've spent $31 trillion more than what the entire country takes in taxes. So Republicans want some type of cuts, a lot of cuts. In fact, they're looking at $4.5 trillion in cuts over the course of 10 years, cuts pretty much everywhere. If you want, I'll link you to a video that shows you some details of where these cuts are coming from. SNAP benefits, schools, cancer research, the military, almost everywhere. I mean, it's a lot. Democrats are like, nope, we're not going to negotiate. This is a significant problem because if they don't, the country runs out of money. They're not able to print more money at this point because they can't do it without an act of Congress. And lawmakers have said, even President Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders have said in the past, that if they don't do this, it could cause, or maybe even would cause, a significant delay to any type of payments or money that comes out of the government. We're talking about government pensions. We're talking about benefits like SNAP, Social Security could be delayed, even Medicare, Medicaid, people that get paid from the government jobs, anything that has money coming from the government could be delayed or may not even have money at all, depending on how bad the situation gets. And now we're looking at T minus less than 30 days. And if the government defaults, which has never happened before, this is not a government shutdown. This is a government default. This is like the worst financial thing that could happen to our country. It's basically saying the government can't pay its bills. Remember the full faith and credit of the United States? This is saying the United States wouldn't be able to pay its bills. And I also want to mention here, I will kind of go over this here briefly. I get a lot of questions of who does the government owe this money to? Who who do they owe this money to? Well, chances are a lot of the viewers here, the United States government may actually owe money to you, believe it or not. Okay. If you have a 401k, if you have a pension, if you have an IRA, anything like that, you probably, the government probably owes you money. Okay. Some of those investments probably have government investments, or the government owes you money in there. Okay. Some of it is to foreign countries. Some, if you own treasuries, boom, yeah, the government owes you money. They're basically, and you get interest on that. Okay. But I'll show you a quick glance here. Who owns the U.S. national debt? Now, there's a lot of U.S. national debt, but this gives you a quick idea of this. The U.S. national debt reached its limit, $31.4 trillion in January. Since then, they've mostly been paying the interest and stuff with the cash on hand from the government. Okay. It's kind of an easy way. Think about, they've kind of reached their credit card limit, and they've now been using the money from their cash accounts, their checking accounts, and the money that kind of came in from people paying their taxes. Okay, since then, but it's been dwindling because remember, we run a deficit. Okay, we run a deficit. Okay, the total of the $31 trillion here, here's how it breaks down. Almost $7 trillion of that debt is intra-governmental holdings. So kind of actually debt owed to and held by our own different type of governments here, state governments, stuff like that. And $24 trillion is debt held by the public. So it could be held by you, it could be held by pensions or stock accounts, or foreign governments as well, held by the public. Okay. Some people might be asking, why would the government owe money to itself? Because some agencies like the Social Security Trust Fund take in more revenue from taxes than they need. These agencies invest in U.S. treasuries rather than stick the cash under a giant mattress. So Social Security, as most people know, invest in treasuries. So they're actually investing in the government, which pays out basically interest. Okay. I think that's most people kind of understand that. This transfers the agency's excess revenue to the general fund where it's then spent. They redeem their treasury notes for funds as needed. The federal government then either raises taxes or issues more debt to raise the required cash. U.S. Treasury security holders by type. You can see this here. The largest holder of U.S. debt is actually the U.S. government. Yeah, and you can see a list here, okay, of who owns this here. So some are federal and government accounts, state and local government. Some are pension funds. So think about college funds. Some of these colleges have billions and billions of dollars of, you know, um, trust funds, basically. Insurance companies, millions and billions of dollars. They're investing in treasuries and things like that here, savings bonds, etc. Also, the Federal Reserve owns treasuries. In fact, at one point, they owned $2.5 trillion in treasuries back in 2014 when they were called quantitative easing. And we're actually buying there. It was a way to actually reduce interest rates. Now they're raising interest rates. God bless them, right? Yeah, sarcasm there. But yeah, so the Fed actually owns treasuries, and they vary at different points there. Current foreign ownership of U.S. debt. The number one country you might be thinking is China. You'd be close. They're number two with $870 billion. Japan is actually number one with $1.08 trillion of US debt. Number three is the United Kingdom, then Belgium, Luxembourg, Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Ireland, Canada, and Brazil. Yeah, so people investing in treasuries and other types of US government bonds and debt. Also, as a bonus here, which US president paid off all the US government national debt back in 1835? Andrew Jackson paid off all of the national interest bearing debt for the entire country. He is the only president to ever have done so. So, the next time you see Andrew Jackson on a $20 bill, you can remember that. What's ironic is he actually opposed having paper money. Yeah, so you can figure that one out. But like I said, if you actually have any type of mutual funds or index funds or 401ks, IRAs, or anything of the sort, you may actually have some government debt in the or treasuries, and the government may actually owe you money. So just keep that in mind that you may be one of the people that the government owes money to. You also can go and buy like I bonds or treasuries individually. If you own them through a mutual fund, you can't really like call them up and say, "Hey, I want to redeem this" or something like that because it's through the fund. But you can buy them individually as well. And they have like maturity dates and stuff like that. That's not really the point of this video, but you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But yeah, this is going to be a significant deal because a T minus less than 30 days, and the Republicans and Democrats have no plan to get this done in a very short amount of time. I don't know what they're going to do, but I will keep you up to date here on what happens here. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos here. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out our YouTube channel. And here's some videos you should watch next. Here's a massive decision coming here in about, well, less than 48 hours for millions of Americans. And here's two major things happening in the United States right now. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.